Buddy, I hope you all had a good weekend. I know I'm ready to get back to work today, sort of. So, everyone, grab your coffee or your tea, or in my case, your water and your coffee, and let's talk some astrology and human design. And I have an oracle card for us for the week. So, welcome back. Remembering today the moon is void, of course. Good morning, Suzanne. It's good to see you out there. And everyone else, I wish you all a great day. Let me hide this comment again. So remember, the moon is void, of course, most of the day today. So it's not going to be one of those days energetically where we're going to be able to get a lot done. The moon is void until 3:44 p.m. on the West Coast and 6:44 on the East Coast, and somewhere between 3:44 and 6:44, all the parts in between. So if you're not getting a lot done, it's not a good time. Remember, moon void, of course, do not start something new. If you can do like I'm going to do today and play most of the day, that might be a better choice, right? Meditate, do yoga, read a good book, sit out in the sunshine. Oh my God, we have one more glorious day of sunshine here before we get back to rain. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Mimi. It's good to have you back with us. I know you've been so busy, and it's good to see you again out here. So we have quite a bit to talk about today. This is going to be, remember last week I had trouble characterizing the week. This week I have very definite words for the week, but I'm not sure I want to share them because it's going to be an interesting week of, well, let me just give you an idea. If we devolve down to the lowest, good morning, Katie, the lowest expression of all of the energies of the week, we're going to find ourselves in chaos, turbulence, conflict, and control. Wow. I would say this week at best is difficult. And I would say at its highest, it is one where we learn mass patience and we stay within ourselves. So let's talk about what the different pieces of this week are going to be about. Because Monday, of course, we like to go into this a little deeper and find out what it is that we can expect for the whole of the week. But then we'll bring it back and we'll hone into the day. So I decided actually to get my little human design ephemeris out. Some big changes had happened. Suzanne says, never mind. Never mind, you don't want me to share, right? By the way, this morning I have my 5-year-old grandson, Dallas, here. So if a youngster happens to walk in my room while we're talking, I'll introduce you to him. He's adorable, and he doesn't have daycare today because of state testing or something. So he is here with me for the day. Thus, the reason I'm playing all day, except for being here with you guys this morning. Anyway, but he's got my phone right now, so I'm sure he's occupied. But you never know, right? He's 5. So I picked up my book, and I thought, okay, let's take a look at the week's energy. And I went, oh, gate 36. Oh, gate 6. Oh, gate 21. Oh, no, gate 3. Yikes, right? You guys don't know exactly what I'm talking about, but when I looked at that, I went, this is an interesting week, right? Filled with crisis, perhaps, with chaos, or turbulence is another good word that they use for these combinations of energies. They really are sort of like being in a washing machine that's in agitation mode, right? They're energies that are agitating us. If you look at the underside of things, good morning, Roseanne. Happy Monday to you too. If you look at the underside of what's happening, this is a week that is filled with energies of Saturn, Saturn squaring both Mercury and then Venus. And then at the end of the week, we have, of course, the new moon, or on Saturday, we have the new moon. So we are in a closeout phase, right? That last week before the new moon, we're buttoning up, we are cleaning up, we are maybe letting go of some things. But in the bigger picture, what's happening is we are all being forced through the eye of the needle, if you will, right? Eye of the needle. I think there's even a saying somehow in the Bible about being forced through the eye of the needle, which, last week, Mimi, you weren't with us last week, but we did talk about the energy last week was really kind of disturbing as well. But it was, different sense than what this week is. This week, we're really getting to the crux of who we are and what it is that we want to be in alignment with values wise. When we're last week we had Mercury and Venus in a conjunction. Remember I told you I happened to be sitting at my couch looking out the window as the sun was setting, and I went, oh my God, what is that? Because there was this bright star, setting with the sun, and I went, oh, of course it's Venus. Then I remembered, oh my God, Venus is conjunct Mercury. So we had this, twofer planets that were setting with the sun. It was absolutely gorgeous, right? But when those two come together, Mercury and Venus, they're really calling us to begin speaking from and living from our values, our core values. And what we talked about was how our core values, when you get right down to the bottom of it, are really very similar, even though we may go about expressing those values in different ways. Thus, the reason we are a tapestry of people and not just a one sheet of one color kind of combination of peoples. So we have these varying values, but our core values pretty much align us with one another. And if we can come back to that point, right, the outer world, I would bet this week is going to be chaotic, no doubt, right? I mean, Trump has already set us up over the weekend for some things, calling back the energies that he wanted to do with some gun control measures and changing it to, arming our teachers, which I can't imagine in anybody's world is a good idea. Some crazy things like that are going on. And one day it's one thing, and the next day it's another thing, and then it's another thing, and then it's another thing, and those kind of things shake us up. And the problem with that day after day after day is we become complacent. And I don't want you all to become complacent, right? Complacency doesn't help anybody. If anything, we need to come back into our core values again and keep that message rolling. In our core values, children don't go to school to get shot. In our core values, kids don't go to school hungry. In our core values, everybody's taken care of equally. Everybody has equal rights. And that means that if the police are out there pulling people over or taking care of law type things, that it's equal, not dependent upon your color of your skin or your sex. So there's craziness out there, no doubt. And this week may exaggerate some of the craziness because the lower shadow energies are what we're seeing the most of expressed in the world. If we could get out of the shadow energy and rise to the gift of these energies, chaos becomes innovation. Turbulence becomes humanity. Conflict becomes diplomacy. And control becomes authority, right? And not authority like we sometimes think about where the authorities are the people that we fear. No, authority says I stand in my own power. So this week gives us a huge opportunity to jump out of those lower energies and up into the gift energies. Good morning, Londa. Oh my gosh, are you joining us? She's joining us from the Dead Sea. Lovely to have you. Last night, just before I went to bed, I saw on my phone, it popped up, it said, Londa Damon is signed into Messenger. And I went, really? Could I have a conversation with her all the way in Israel? So welcome to you. And I hope things are going well there for you. As this begins a turbulent week, at least for all of us, the group of people she's with are there praying for peace. And I love that, right? She went on the trip with Greg Braden, who is a huge spiritual metaphysician, written many books. He blends science and spirituality together so well. And she went along on their trip to the Middle East to promote peace and well-being and love. And so I want all of us to just send as much love and peace energy as you can muster out to the Dead Sea area and to Israel and to the Gaza Strip and Palestine and Jerusalem and all those areas, right? So great to see you, Londa, and good to have you. We miss you over here, though, in my neck of the woods. All right, so we have huge opportunities, right, to take these lower energies. Those of us with the light ought to be doing this, right? We should know better. We know that conflict, turbulence, control, and all of that stuff is the shadow operating, is the fear potential operating. And what we really need is to go to that higher expression. When we get to the highest expression of these gates, what we get is innocence, compassion, peace, and valor. Valor is an interesting word. One of these days, we're going to have to do a word study on valor. because I find it interesting that control is the low end, authority is the gift, and valor is the highest expression of the gate 21. And some of you already know, because of your human design, that you're carrying gate 21, and it often expresses in control issues between people, especially in a relationship, trying to hyper control the flow of resources. Gate 21, it'd be like the bookkeeper end, right? They know the rules. They know that that there's a finite amount of money coming in, and we ought not to be buying that $60,000 SUV if we only have this X amount of money coming in. And so if someone has the opposite end, then we get some control issues going on between people. It is, in human design vernacular, a red flag gate. So yes, Roseanne has gate 21, and I do believe it's your Chiron that sits at gate 21. So that makes it even more fun for her. Anyway, so this week then we have to keep in alignment with our core values and keep expressing what it is that you came here to do, right? That is the key to staying kind of under the radar of all these other energies. If you turn on that nightly news, you're going to see bunches of different things. Although sometimes we see something interesting in that. I was really surprised last week, and I love surprises. You know, I love surprises because it feels magical. When I heard that the U.S. was going to enter into talks with North Korea, or even that North Korea was willing to do this. And then our president, or at least his staff, whoever handles him, said the U.S. is willing to talk. So to me, that's embodying this idea of diplomacy, right? Coming from conflict and moving to the potential of diplomacy. It is turbulence moving toward humanity, right? Is it right for us to cut off a country from everything that they need for the people? I don't know. I'm not going to come down on either side of that fence. I'm just saying there has to be a better way, because in our core value, it's love, it's peace, it's joy, it's everyone being fed, it's everyone having a home, it's everyone being able to have some freedom to be who they're here to be, right? We would want the same things for others that we want for ourselves. I wouldn't deny that to anybody. So the most interesting of all of this energy, by the way, isn't starting today. It really starts tomorrow. So you have pre-warning, right? You have pre-warning that this week is going to, can we get 45 shipped out? What's funny about that, Roseanne, is the opposite gate of 21 is 45. So I'm not sure, do you mean 45 like the president, or do you mean like 45 the gate? Either way, they're in our realities. And why are they in our realities? That's the question. Always reeling it in. What is this showing me about me? What is this showing me about my beliefs? What is this showing me about where I am in my evolution? Because it's not about what's going on out there. It's about what's going on in here with you, with me, with us as individuals, right? That's the only way that we can deal with this, because I can't make our president do what I want him to do. But why is he showing me this chaos all the time? Well, perhaps because in my own world, chaos is playing a role. And she meant the 45th president. That's too funny, because I could have taken it either way. I kind of like that. What are the words that mean the same thing, only different? It's kind of funny. Or spelled the same way. I don't know. Anyway, so let's look deeper then at what's going on that's creating chaos, the potential for innovation, and the highest expression, which is innocence. That's an interesting progression, don't you think? Chaos, innovation, innocence. I don't know what to say about that, right? That's just kind of an interesting progression. One, of course, that I'll be taking a deeper look at some point in time. And one day out of the blue, I'm going to bring it up again, because that's what I do. But let's look at what the planet is that's sitting there, because I think that's where the real tale is told. And the planet sitting there yesterday became the planet Uranus. And Uranus has been, Uranus had been in the gate 42, which is a gate of completions, right? Completing, buttoning things up, change. In other words, solidifying the change. And now we have Uranus moving into gate 3, and gate 3 it's one of those gates in human design where we really don't have much control over it. It's not like, it's, by the way, a gate that sits on the sacral. Let me see, do I have a human design chart hanging around here on my desk somewhere? Of course I must, except I cleaned my desk this weekend. So the sacral is the second to the bottom square in your human design. Oh, really, seriously, I don't have a human design chart here. Aha, I see what. Don't mind the name. So here is the sacral. This person happens to be a projector. They don't have their sacral defined. And gate 3 is right here. It's the center line coming down right here. And it meets up with gate 60 at the other end. So if there were planets at gate 60, we'd have a complete channel. But we don't, so gate 3 is kind of hanging there. Now, the gate 3 is one, like I started to say, we don't have much control over this gate. In fact, we have zero control over this gate. This is an energy that moves through the human design to create change. And so the lower expression, meaning chaos or being chaos, is there because what happens when we want change? Chaos ensues, right? All of us in this country have been somewhat polarized on the gun issue, right? Because obviously we don't want our children being killed in schools, but yet we have this Second Amendment that guarantees rights. And so there's this chaos around everything to do with guns right now. What do we do about it, right? What's the best route forward that satisfies everybody's need to have that Second Amendment right, but also guarantees safety for our children in schools and to other people who are on the street? And I mean, people in general, right? So that is creating chaos. And out of chaos comes this innovation, right? We can't greet the chaos from the same level of thinking that created the chaos. We have to innovate. We have to be able to move beyond that and look at new ways of creating what it is that we want. So in some respects, and don't slap me, in some respects, arming teachers, which I deplore, I think that's horrible, but arming teachers was an out-of-the-box kind of an idea, right? It was an out-of-the-box. No one 10 years ago would have ever thought about arming our teachers, right? And Lila, oh no, gate 3 is in my north node. Don't go panicking on me, right? This is not a bad thing. Gate 3 is about change. So the people who carry gate 3 in your chart, you're already change agents. You're change agents because somehow you're innovative. There's something in your DNA that is expressing uniqueness, that is expressing a sort of otherworldly, perhaps, way of looking at things. You're able to turn things up on their heads and see them differently. And so we want the energy of gate 3. But when we turn things upside down to look at it differently, it creates chaos ultimately, because people don't like change. We are stubbornly stuck in our old ways of thinking. And until something big happens to shake us up, and trust me when I say lots of big things have been happening to shake us up, especially around things like guns, around how we deal with one another, what's right behavior, how is our government running, what about money, and all of these things are shaking us up. And until we are able to listen to some of the people that have these innovative ideas and listen to them with open minds, and then align those new ideas with our values, then we can create change. And that's what gate 3 is really good at doing. So if your north node, Lila, sits at gate 3, you are a change agent. And the way you see the world is unique, and it's forward thinking, it's forward looking, it's mutative, it is creating the need for adaptation. And you can't help that. You go into an organization, you go into a family, you go into a room, and you start to create change, whether it's a change in the topic, a change in the way people see things, the change in the way an organization works. We need you there, right? Your destiny ultimately is to shake things up and make some change. Well, Uranus is already a planet that we think of as the Great Awakener, right? Uranus creates that need for us to change. And remember, Uranus lately had been paired with Eris, the goddess of discord. So we had, you're welcome, Lila. So we had discord paired with, or the goddess of discord paired with the Great Awakener almost all of 2016 and half of 2017. So the world's already shook up. Look at what the election did here in the USA. If most of you, I think, are listening to us from the USA, look at what 2016's election did. And then look at the fallout from that, from that, and how it's affected all of us people, how it's affected. I think the most extraordinary effect of that election is how people are coming together and providing grassroots movements. Remember, I said at the beginning of this year that one of the big things we were going to see is people power, right? If we're the 99%, and I'm guaranteeing most of us are, if we're the 99%, we have the numbers to get the world changed, the one that we live in. And we can do that by aligning with other people of like mind and being able to make the changes that are along our core values, right? We can do this. We have power. We have power. The power to create the world that we want to live in. Don't give up your power, right? So Uranus, the Great Awakener, is kind of tasking us at this point to be innovative. And we're only one day into this, so we really haven't seen yet the power of what this can bring. But the power of what this brings is when we come together as a group. What if we all, like I've said before, what if all the women came together and said, these are the new rules, right? Because they align us with who we are. And guess what? The tribal energy in the human design chart, this side right here, is all feminine, right? This is the feminine energy, and the feminine energy is about laying down the law. It's about transmitting the values of the tribe to the younger ones, right? That's the matriarchy in action. And it laying down the law because why? We support the growth and evolution of the people. And if we're growing people that are mentally challenged, who are going out there and shooting up the world, then we know inwardly that we are not aligned with the values and the laws that we set out. And we have to make a change. We know that. So what if groups came together and were able to say, no more, no more. Look at what the kids coming together after the Parkland shooting have had as an effect on the Florida legislature. And they're not even full-blooded adults yet, right? These are kids. It's amazing, right? They said no more, and they stood up, and they used their voices in a positive way to say, look, this isn't right. There's something wrong here. Listen to us. And so when do we go? Suzanne says, when do we go? Roseanne says, yes, I'm tribal. I think there's a great agreement in all of this that, right, we're the ones that can make the change. There's not somebody out there coming to save us. There aren't other people that should be making this change for us. Hello? We can make these changes. And you can't exactly make the change as a huge voice like everybody can. All of us are not Oprah's, right? Oprah has a voice that can reach masses of people, but you have a voice too. But your voice may reach to the PTA, it may reach to your family, it may reach to your friends, it may reach to only the people that you work with every day, but it has reach. It has effect. It has power. Use your power, but use it wisely, right? Don't make it turbulent, conflict, or control. It's not about that. It's engaging people and saying, if we looked at everything that we have in common, these are the things, right? And if we have these things in common, why don't we work for the good of those things first? Then the other things can sort themselves out. I swear that if every person in a society was well-fed, had a roof over their shoulder, and ample opportunities to engage in their dreams, that we wouldn't have these problems that we have. And where does that begin? Well, I think it begins with each one of us, and then it begins with us moving this outward to our families, and then outward to our communities, and outward bigger to the world. Every one of us has an energy signature that's either more personal or more interpersonal or even more universal. And some of us know that, right? I know that I'm interpersonal. right? I know that some people are very personal, and maybe they can make change by writing or blogging or communicating in some way that's, less visible. I communicate in a more one-on-one way or in a group way. There are people out there who get up in front of 10,000 people and they say, this is the things that we need to do. And those other 10,000 people are all in agreement with it. The problem is with human design, some of those people, about 50% of them, have open heads and they take this in, they're inspired, and then they go home and they lose the access to that group energy that they had. So everybody has to be able to greet that inspiration or that inspiring sort of tide of energy in a way that works for them ultimately. So human design is very useful for kind of pinpointing what's happening, but you also have to move through that in a way that's right for you, right? So don't worry, I'm not saying all of us need to go out there and be Oprah Winfrey's and stand on the street corners with your signs or get up on the stage and shout to the world. That's not going to work, right? Because everybody has a different dynamic in how they are sort of to meet that kind of energy. But if we met everybody with kindness and generosity in the grocery store, right? Even the checkers who sometimes checkers have had a bad day, right? People are hassling them, or they've been on their feet for 6 hours and, they're tired and they might be a little grumpy, and you come up and you're the next customer and you notice this, right? You can tell she's not talking, her eyes are looking away, or she's looking down at the ground. Make an effort to say hi, to say, how's your day been? You look a little tired. I bet you've had a lot of customers. Whatever it is in your unique personality that you can do to uplift people, right? And on the road, right? Road rage. That now my new thing is, and if my daughter's listening, she's probably cracking up because she knows I'm the one in the car going, get out of my way, move over, you're too slow. But my new thing on the road is if I'm not going fast enough for someone, oh, they must be in a hurry, right? They must be in a hurry. They must have a meeting to get to, or they must have something important to do, so that I don't have to be in a competition with them on the road kind of thing. If they're slow and in front of me, right, then I can say, they must be in a pensive mood perhaps, or there's something going on in their lives, or maybe it's an older person and they're more fragile or they're afraid of driving. I had an experience this weekend. Oh my God. I'm 56 years. I got on a bicycle and I literally had a panic attack. I was faced with going down some very small trails. On one side of the trail was like the wall of the trail, like the mountainside. The other side was a gully that led down to a creek. And the trail, literally isn't any wider than what a bicycle and maybe one person could go opposite directions of. And I did well on one half of the trail, and we came to the top and we were going to have to go downhill. And all I could see were people coming up that hill. And I couldn't see how it was that my bicycle was going to be able to get down that hill. And I totally freaked out. I just totally panicked. I went, okay, what is going on here? Why am I so panicked about this? And I kept saying to my husband, can't do this, can't do this, can't do this. He's like, what? I'm like, that is too narrow, right? A bicyclist going down a trail like that is going to hurt somebody. And I was too tentative in riding the bike to be full of any kind of satisfaction that I could do it. So I just said, we got to go to a different trail. Let's just go to a different trail before I create some kind of chaos on the trail. I'm like, oh my God, you learned to ride a bicycle when you were 5 years old, and you know how to ride a bicycle, but yet I panicked. What if someone's in a car in front of you and they're having a panic, right? Just trying to understand where other people are coming from instead of getting pulled into the conflict or getting pulled into the turbulence of what's going on, right? We want to rise up to innovation, humanity, diplomacy, and authority. All right, so that's enough on that subject. So let's look at the day. Today we have the moon in Capricorn until about, like I said, 3:44, 6:44 Eastern. And then the moon moves out of Capricorn and into Aquarius. Now, interesting, because the moon in Aquarius to me spells innovation, right? It spells quirkiness. It spells out of the box thinking. And so the week supports all of that kind of energy. If we, like I said, if we rise to the gift instead of being down at the lower end, we can really see a lot of really good things come from the week. So let's send that out as our intention, right? That instead of having these lower energies, and I don't mean that in a hierarchy sort of way. If you're at that level, okay, great. But let's see if we can't, make steps to move up to some of these other energies in every situation that is greeted this week. And yes, Roseanne, the moon is in Aquarius in your chart, so this is a great time for you. And the moon in Aquarius thinks differently, looks at things differently. It has a unique sort of, what's that saying? Marches to the beat of their own drummer. That's a great expression for the moon in Aquarius. So that's what happens tomorrow. In the short term, today it's about structure and form and goals and achieving things, but the moon is in void, of course. So it may not be something that you can finish today. Maybe there's a part that you have to wait for the moon in Aquarius where you can see things differently and be able to see the way through. So if you're struggling with something today, maybe just put it away and let it sit until after the moon changes its course today. And then maybe some ahas and some ways of looking at things that are different show up for you. And also today, the week's energy began, if we look yesterday, it's Sunday, the week's energy began with Mercury squaring Saturn. So Mercury is the planet of communication. It's also slowing down to retrograde. So it also takes us into what's going on up here in our minds. How are our minds running the show? And it is squaring Saturn. Square is a 90-degree angle, i.e. challenging. And Saturn is the rules, the regulations, the discipline, the responsibility. And so what my takeaway message is when this happens, when Mercury squares Saturn, is you got to get right in your head. What's going on up here? Is your mind running you, or are you running your mind? Right? So if we continually are thinking about all the things we don't have in our lives, or how our relationships are falling apart, or you know the drill, right? Then that is going to be what you start to see or continue to see in your outer world. So Mercury squaring Saturn reminds us to look up here. What are the contents up here? And you know what? You don't even have to necessarily look up here to know what the contents are. Look at your outer world. What is showing up in your outer world? And that will tell you where your mind has been. People laugh at that one all the time. But if your outer world is showing you what bunches of great things, then the mind is working to create those great things. But if you're chaos, etc., around you, then your mind is also creating that. So being responsible means that when you start to see something out there, you can respond. This is different from human design, by the way. You can respond with changing your thinking, right? Change your thinking, change your world. Now, Venus is also squaring Saturn. Why? Because Venus and Mercury are in a conjunction. They're sitting together, and that means they're both at varying times, because Mercury's faster than Venus. This is already passing from Mercury. But Venus is now squaring Saturn. And that means we are also being responsible to living from our values, from living from our core values and behaving in a manner that is congruent with our core values, right? If one of your core values is having a healthy body, and you're eating everything in the house that doesn't have good values or isn't good for your body, then you might have an issue. Are you coming to visit? Come here, you can meet everybody. Even though you won't be able to see them, they can see you. Oh, sorry. This is Dallas, everybody. He's my youngest daughter's youngest son. Right now, he's my youngest grandson. He's 5 years old. Say hi, Dallas. Look up here at the camera. Say hi to everybody. Good morning. I get to babysit him today. We're going to play. We're going to I get kid energy. I love kid energy. Oh my gosh, I love kid energy. It takes me out of my usual stuff. Look, Suzanne says, oh, how cute. Because you're adorable. And Roseanne says hi. Say hi, Roseanne. Anyway, so I'm going to play today. And I would encourage, look, Mimi says, hey, Dallas. Suzanne says, hello, Dallas. So the girls are all talking to you. Lila says, "Oh, you're cute." My friend Michelle says, "Hi." You've met Michelle, I think. All right. So where was I? Venus squaring Saturn. So responsibility lies with us to live from our core values, right? If you're out of alignment with your core values, then life is going to look a little weird, right? This is a week for us to live from our values. Lila says, Leo, kid energy. He's a Scorpio, by the way. My daughter has 4 children. All 4 of them are Scorpios. Roseanne, this is the one whose birthday is your birthday, October 23rd. Yeah, October 23rd.
Hey, Grandma, I can hear you from all the way over there.
I know. That's because I talk loud. I could hear the TV all the way in here, too.
Yeah, I turned the TV off.
Yeah. Oh, good job. He and I are going to go outside for a walk today. We're going to go down to the beach, which takes us down a trail that's had a landslide, so it'll be interesting to see how we work on that. And we'll walk the island today.
Hey, Grandma, I lost my feeling.
Uh-oh. You're filling.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm going to try to bring this to a close now. He's got Scorpio magnetism. Absolutely. Manifesting generator. He is going to keep me busy today. And what are you doing?
I don't know.
The camera's over here. There you go. So I did pull a card for us for the week, right? Because I wanted to know, how was it? I think what I said was something like, how can I let people know how to utilize the energy to the highest and best this week? Something to that effect. And it's a card we've had before, which I found interesting. It is the exchanging gifts card, right? So let me sit back. I hope you guys can see the color. It's really bright in my room right now. It's a pink, what is she, a ballerina or a fairy? And her cat is looking at grabbing the gifts from her hands. It's about exchanging gifts. And the number of the card is number 27. So let me get back here a little bit. Isn't that a pretty card?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So what does that mean for everybody? Exchanging gifts, the law of giving and receiving, currency trade-offs, weighing costs, and determining values. I think this card is right up our alley. So the message says you're entering into a productive and enriching time when all manner of opportunities are being offered to you. You have everything you need to seize them. Yet in order to honor them, you must put in the time, exchange your experience and skills, and commit heart and soul to what you're choosing to pursue. You can do it. You have what it takes to be successful if you align with the law of giving and receiving. You must engage. I love you, Dallas. You must engage in a dance of give and take, push and pull, doing and being. If you let fear guide your choices, you could deplete yourself or create an imbalance. This is not a time of just do, do, do. Use your currency wisely and be mindful of the value others bring to your life. Pretty cool. So that reminds us to live from our values, to live from our hearts, and to remember the law of giving and receiving, right? Giving is the opposite of receiving, and they're part of a continuum. Giving and receiving. Giving and receiving. Yes, cats are great energy. And by the way, my little Sadie is doing better. I was afraid I was going to have to call the vet or go take her to the vet because she wasn't eating, but she just doesn't want to know that. She doesn't want me to know that she's eating, because when I got up this morning, all her food was gone. And we don't have a dog that came along and ate her food. You didn't eat her food last night, did you?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So Sadie ate her food. So yay, she's doing better. So yes, Lila, the best pull of card, or the best card pull ever. I love this card. We've had it once before. And I think it really is a good energy that offsets the week, even though there are some crazy things going on. But watch the struggle in the world between people trying to live out these lower energies. But of course, we're called to the higher energies, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Great news for Sadie. Yes, thank you, Mimi. She's such a lovely lady, right? The cat is.
Hey, Grandma,
so
how do you
Mimi.
record this?
Facebook is recording it for me. All right, everybody. I think we're done. I think someone wants me to go play with him. And I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great week. I'll see you tomorrow morning. And in the meantime, have a stellar day. Bye. Did you stick your tongue out, silly boy?